Welcome back. We're glad that you're here to share more interesting information on the nonprofits in the city of Long Beach. This time, we are talking about something a little bit different than we have when we talk about volunteering and when we talk about giving of your time. We have the New Hope Support Group with us today, and I'm going to introduce you to Suzanne Bean, who is a longtime friend. In fact, I think you said you were my student at Long Beach City College,
Right.
and so it's nice to see you again.
Thank you.
And you are the director of the New Hope.
That's right.
And tell us what the New Hope is.
New Hope Grief Support Community is a nonprofit locally and based out of Long Beach where we provide grief support for children, teens, adults, parents who've lost children. We help military families as the need arises. And we do that through 8-week grief groups programs, as well as we have 2 camps a year. We provide grief support for the Long Beach Unified School District and all ages, as well as Sunburst Youth Academy on the base at Los Alamitos.
And how do you get the people that need this grief support? Did you get them through the hospitals, through the courts, through the schools? How do you find, I mean, because people maybe don't even know they're going through it.
Right. Many are friends telling a friend through therapist referrals, counselors in the school districts, clergy, local agencies of Long Beach, other nonprofits that know about us, partnerships that we have with other places like Ronald McDonald House, etc.
And how long have you been in existence?
We're going into our 14th year. I've actually been doing grief support for almost 30 years, but as a nonprofit, 14 here in Long Beach.
And how did it start?
Actually, it first began when I was a student, my first year, semester, first 2 weeks of college at Long Beach City. I was headed into education, but my father died. And so what I did was I quit college, and that's the only way I knew how to grieve. And if you don't deal with your grief, it waits for you. So my grief sat there. Eventually I knew I would go back to school after I had my marriage, family, and I headed back to city again for my nursing career this time. Early on, I knew though that I wanted to do hospice nursing. That would be my focus. And right out of college, graduation, I went to work at VA Medical Center, Long Beach, in a cancer, excuse me, leukemia unit, and that was the closest I could get to a hospice program with getting that hospital experience. It was there that I saw a lot of grief, plus while I was in pre-med, I lost my best friend and my sister-in-law. So there was more grief layering, and once I got to the unit at Veterans, the grief just began to layer, and I became very curious and searching for help, and there wasn't anything. Read every book I could find, as well as took every class or program that was out there, and that was in 1986.
Did you know you were grieving?
I knew something was wrong. It was just a heaviness inside of me. I was very comfortable with the dying patient and working with families and the patient and with death, but the grief just began to overwhelm me, and I began to say, what is this grief part that's left behind? From those classes, I put together a handbook for grieving people, and then I said, well, what am I going to do with this? And in 1987, I read a book about grief support groups, and I said, that's what I'll do. So for the next 14 years, I worked full-time as a hospice nurse and in high-risk case management and other fields of nursing. And during the evenings, I would offer 8-week grief group programs in the community. And my referrals would come from clergy or doctors or therapists or social workers when they learned about my program. And 1999, I attend Grace Church Long Beach. Our pastor, Lou Huseman, said in a class, get out of these seats and into the streets and help the homeless and the hungry. And I said, the grieving, we need to do more about this. There's nothing out there. So out of us seeing no need being met, I felt like it was time for us to make this a nonprofit. So I quit my nursing career and cut our income in half. And there we go. My husband was a teacher at Long Beach Poly for many years, and so we lived very simple, and we could put the nonprofit in motion in 1999.
And when you say you put this program, what did you put in place? What did you do
started.
Not just started, but also what did you offer?
Right from the get-go, we offered, just like I had been doing, adult grief support groups for anybody who lost somebody. And then quickly, I also knew the need would be there for, we had to help children and teens because there wasn't anything out there. And so with the help of volunteers, we're really much a volunteer-driven agency. Our staff consists of myself, David as our Director of Marketing and Development, and Allison, our Administrative Assistant and Program Assistant. We are only 3. Quickly, the need I saw was to train volunteers so that we could then help children and start. So I wrote children program groups and then teen groups and wrote books for kids, and we have a handbook for children, and put that all in motion. Got a partnership going with Long Beach Unified and some other school districts nearby, and do school groups and evening groups and whatever.
Good. Well, we'll come back to this.
Sure.
But how does David fit into all this?
Oh, you want to tell the Secret Millionaire story?
Sure, yeah. So thanks for having us. We really appreciate
Yes,
it.
by the way.
Good.
Yeah, excited to be here. So we were approached a little over a year ago. Actually, we celebrated a 1-year anniversary on July 8th.
Who's we?
New Hope.
Okay.
And the anniversary that we shared was about on July 8th. Prior to that, we were approached by a group of people who said that they were wanting to film a documentary about volunteerism in America. And they'd called a number of nonprofits in Long Beach, and they got denied by some. But Sue, in her optimism and just willingness to say, no, this is a great opportunity, said, sure, come on down. We'd love to do that. And so what they did was they filmed a whole week long about how New Hope was serving people and helping people. And this woman by the name of Hilary DeCesar came along, and she was the main volunteer in the show. And so we're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're filming, they're helping, she's helping. Well, on the last day, as it comes to Susan's there, and she tells her, I'm not who you think I am. Well, then who are you? And with a smile on her face, she says, I'm Hilary DeCesar. I am actually the founder and CEO of a corporation called Everloop. And I have a donation and a check for you. And she wrote us a check for $75,000
Oh my goodness.
on the spot.
Is that right?
And on July 8th of last year, that show then aired on national television to millions of people. And that kind of created a wonderful wave for us
Oh,
of people
absolutely.
needing support and wanting to donate and give back and volunteer time. And so with that, New Hope was already gearing up and in a place to where they knew that they needed to hire someone to fill the kind of the fundraising and the marketing pice of the organization to kind of take it to the new
Along
next.
comes David.
And I'd already been volunteering there for 5 years.
Oh, you had?
I lost
Right.
my mom when I was 27, and I was dealing with my grief as well, and I didn't know what to do about it. And through a series of fortunate events, I met Susan in New Hope, and I'd asked her if they had something for young adults, and she did. And she was starting a group 2 weeks later, and I signed up reluctantly, but I knew I needed to go. And I got into the group, and actually a few weeks into that group that Susan was leading, she lost someone dear to her heart, and she's like, David, I need you to help out, and we're doing a kids camp. This is before we did family camp. She's like, I need you to be a counselor. I know you used to work K through 5 after school for Long Beach Unified, and I need to tap into those skill sets. And I said, well, maybe you haven't noticed, but I'm in the middle of my grief group trying to deal with my grief. And you know what? Something inside said, go. And I went and I met a young boy, about 5 years of age, and he shared with me how his mommy died. And in that moment, my grief felt like this big. And I knew I was in the right place. And so I
Yeah.
continued to volunteer and build the relationship and the friendship with Sue and her husband and the organization. And the rest is kind of history.
It's wonderful when people find out they're not alone.
That's right. That's right.
It's interesting you should say that. One of our things our taglines is that no person should have to grieve alone. No family,
Yeah.
no parent, no child, no adult should have to grieve alone or in solitude.
Right.
Well, and people don't know what's wrong.
No, they don't.
They just know they're sad.
That's right.
And how do they get in touch with you if somebody's listening and would like to talk with you more?
All they need is our phone number, Beverly. Really. It's just,
It's
we're
under
just a
New
call
Hope?
away. Yes,
It's
it
at our
is.
website.
On our website.
It's in the telephone book also?
You can call 411 and find us.
Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
Very
Find
good.
us online at our website.
Yeah. Well, you're providing a service that's wonderful, and how many are you have involved with this?
Volunteer-wise,
And people coming.
We'll do 26 grief groups, 8 weeks each this year in various
and
aspects.
how many are in the group?
Usually we register 10 to 12 in a
10
group.
to 12 in a
Mhm.
group.
Right. You know, it's small group dynamics so that the people feel comfortable, where they can come and voice their suffering and share this and come away with hope.
And you know, and people feel, you know, you explained it very well, David, that you were going through this and thinking you were alone, and all of a sudden you see this
That's right.
young boy, and yours is about this big, and his is this big. And I think that people are hesitant to come and express themselves personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hard to let go of that, you know, well, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Or I don't need help.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
okay.
need help.
I'm
but,
gonna make it.
Well, that's wonderful. And I
Yeah.
thank you so much. You know, it almost made me cry because people have to go through these things and don't realize it, that they don't have to do it alone.
And that's
They
the
don't.
key, is that,
Yeah.
you know, that identification, as you mentioned, is so important. And with children and teens, it's real important too, because they think they're the only one on the playground. And the other thing that they struggle with is we're not a family anymore.
yeah.
And we can help them understand
That's
that's
wonderful.
not true.
Well, you did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad I had you as a student.
That's right. You taught me well.
Thank you very much. It's nice to have both of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly.
And we thank you very much for watching. The segments today have been really revealing, I think, in what you can do to help others. And what you're going through, you're not alone. So thank you very much for being with us today, and thank you for being part of the Heart of Giving.